Hey everyone, it's Vincent here from the CreativeDojo.net. Welcome to another critique session for the Kuler 5 project. This time the theme was Once Upon a Time, where you had to create a 5-second motion graphics or animation related to Once Upon a Time, and we got some pretty interesting and awesome results actually. And although the submissions are kind of staggering a little bit, or kind of lacking a little bit because there aren't that many people submitting their submissions, the actual quality of the submissions now from the certain people that always, participate in this Kuler 5 project are getting a lot better. So let's go ahead and dive right into the first submission right here by ZeroG Studio right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at his submission. So I think that this animation is a lot better than the one he did previously before the Christmas holiday season 1. So first off, I would like to say that I really love the kind of vintage washed out feel of the whole motion graphics environment right here, because it kind of gives it that old film look, kind of the old kind of Western style washed out, and you kind of have the dust particles. And then I like the country Western style because, I mean, I'm not too old myself, so back in the day, there's a lot of Western old films, so yeah, that's a part of my childhood as well. I also love the texture of everything, the table right here, the texture of the posters. I really love the posters. I love the bullet holes, kind of sells the whole Western effect once again, as well as the posters. I love the kind of transition of the paper that just kind of came across. You have that wanted look, and you kind of have that Western font. Really kind of sells the whole Western kind of feel to it. So I really like how all the elements you chose kind of blended well together to create that Western style for your picture right here. I love the wanted ZeroG Studio kind of poster. I like the kind of film burn. I like the music, and I just like everything overall. One thing I didn't like too much were the sound effects. I mean, I guess it's not really a big deal because this is a motion graphics kind of project, not really a sound design project, but I mean, the music was great, but the sound effects was kind of lacking from that Video Copilot designer sound effects. Now, so overall, it was a really great project. It really sold the Western theme once again. Some suggestions or tips I have for you for this animation in particular was maybe make the flames a little bit more opaque. You have those nice flames at the very end, and that's really cool, and that's really part of the Western style. You always have these explosions exploding everywhere and flames, just burning stuff. It matches the theme. I'm really glad that you included the flames. It kind of gives it that nice transition to the end. But it would be kind of awesome to maybe make them a little bit more opaque so they would cover the whole thing, rather than making it kind of semi-transparent. It doesn't really look that real. So I suggest maybe adding some more sparks into there, maybe make it more solid, like maybe like 90% opacity, something like that. And also more extreme camera moves. Your camera moves are really great, but I would like to see them a little bit more extreme a little bit. They're kind of just subtly moving. They're not really moving that much. I kind of want to see it move a little bit more because, again, this is an action kind of Western feel. So I want to see this kind of fast-paced moving camera going around. After all, it is kind of flames everywhere and such. So really great work. Hope to see you again in the next Kuler 5 project. You did a really great job, especially from the previous submission you did before. So great work. Keep it up. And I want to see you in the next Kuler 5 project. Now the next one is by Jonathan right here, another great animator right here that does really great work in illustrations. Let's go and take a look at his submission. So a pretty simplistic kind of design, but I love this kind of simple motion graphics design, especially Jonathan's right here. I love the cleanness of the whole animation, how it's all nice and clean. There's no dirty kind of weird stuff in there. I love the simplicity of everything. I love the great illustrations, especially for the castle. Pretty awesome, neat illustration, especially for the trees as well. Great choice of color. Kind of gets it that nice, happy environment, kind of fairy tale environment, I guess, with green, brown, and kind of this tan color. And also awesome movement. I like how Jonathan has been working kind of hard on kind of getting these realistic movements with these animations. So just pay close attention to the night movement right here. Pretty sweet movement for the little night right here. And also, it's really great that you remember to enable motion blur. A lot of people forget to apply motion blur, and I guess it looks kind of off. But you did a great job with the motion blur here. Great job in the night illustration once again. There wasn't really anything I didn't like about this particular animation. Again, just like ZeroG Studio, you did a really great job in improving your last submission. I mean, your last submission was great. I think this one's even better, and I can't wait to see what you'll come up with in the next Kuler 5 project. Some suggestions I may make is to maybe add some texture to your whole animation, just for fun. I mean, this is more experiment thing. Maybe try to apply some texture to the whole overall thing, like maybe a paper texture or something. After all, yours is fairy tale based. And maybe add some shadows, because right now you see that you have this nice massive castle. You have a shadow for the door, I believe, right? And then, but you have no shadow for the horse or the tree or any of that stuff. So maybe either you remove the shadow, all of it, or you add shadows to all of it. So I guess it's kind of nitpicky thing. Just add some shadows to it maybe, and maybe add some grass to the scene. You're kind of lacking some green. And maybe zoom into the sign a little bit more right here. You kind of focus on the sign a little bit, but I kind of want you to move into the sign a little bit more just so we can read it a little bit better, and it kind of just emphasizes the sign. Again, just like ZeroG Studios, more extreme camera moves. I know sometimes simple is more, but I guess in this case I kind of want some I was kind of expecting the camera to zoom into the sign a little bit. See how subtle that was? But overall, a great submission. Really great work again, Jonathan. I love all your illustrations, all your simple animation and all that stuff. So really great work. Really keep it up. The third submission is by Biola Thorn, and his animation is this right here. So first off, I really love the 3D work. He actually did this in Cinema 4D, I believe. And he primarily used the 3D application, so really great work in the 3D side of the part of the project. Awesome beginning transition right here. How like you start off with all black and it kind of just transitions away to this scene. I think that it's a really clever and really nice looking kind of transition. Love that transition in the beginning. That's probably my favorite part about this whole animation here, this transition right here. Pretty great work. Really nice massive environment. I kind of like the mist in the atmosphere and the whole mountain scene and all that stuff. Really great sound effects for the kind of wind massive environment. The only thing I didn't really like was the bird model right here. Kind of looks out of place. I mean, the whole scene is kind of blue and it's kind of all dark and gloomy, so it'd make no sense to have the bird kind of bright. You would kind of color correct the bird to make it maybe a little more blue, I would say. And some suggestions I would make to you is maybe make it more obvious to the theme. I mean, I can kind of relate to the theme, but I'm not quite sure what the theme is. So maybe relate a little bit more to the Once Upon a Time theme or whatever theme it is. And although I love the transition, I don't think it's really necessary. I think maybe it's better to leave the Once Upon a Time text out of it. Kind of remove it and just use it as a transition. So I think that's pretty cool. Just kind of remove the text. I don't really like it that much because you only have 5 seconds and you don't want to use it on text, put it that way. But overall, I really like it, and I like the environment. Again, just like everyone else, this animation was a huge step up compared to the last animation. Not that the last one was bad, it's just this one is a lot better, and I really like this animation. So really great work. I hope to see you in the next Kuler 5 as well. And now the final submission is by Joshua here. This one is a little bit different. So for this one, I don't necessarily like the titles as much because, again, just like the previous submission right here by Ola right here, you only have 5 seconds, so I don't suggest you use it for text, such as this kind of random screen of text. So I would suggest moving that out. I don't really like the sound effects. It's kind of a minute problem. I mean, it's not really a big problem after all. This is a motion graphics thing. And I didn't really like the environment. It's kind of dark and doesn't really match the theme too much. I would suggest maybe removing the titles, adding a background sky. I mean, I know it's kind of dark, so maybe add like a moon or something, or some stars in the background or something. It looks kind of plain, it looks out of place. And maybe relate it to the theme a little bit better because, like, I mean, I guess it's kind of reversing the theme a little bit. This is more of the future rather than the past, but I mean, it's your interpretation. So maybe make it a little more obvious about what the theme is, as well as maybe make it by 16:9 aspect ratio. I know that one of the rules is to make it 1280 by 720 or at least 16:9 aspect ratio. This is clearly not, but I'm gonna ignore that for now. But what I did like about this whole animation is the kind of sci-fi look. This really kind of gives it that futuristic look to it, even though it's the opposite of the theme. Pretty cool futuristic sci-fi look. I like the futuristic man. I mean, he mentioned that he was not a great modeler, so if you model this thing, pretty great job. I like the man. Kind of reminds me of Watchmen, the blue guy. And I kind of like the glow of the whole thing. It really enhances that sci-fi look. Kind of makes it feel like it's in the future. You kind of have this, I guess, lens flare up here, that blue, green, tealish light. Kind of matches this blue guy right here. So overall, really great work. Hope to see your improvement in the next Kuler 5 project. Really great work to everyone. Again, if I made any kind of negative constructive criticism, don't take it personally or offensively. This is all constructively, and hopefully it'll help you get better, and hopefully it'll help me get better as well. So don't take anything personally. I had a great time seeing all the submissions for the Kuler 5 project, and hopefully you guys had a fun time creating these Kuler 5 projects as well. Again, they're only 5 seconds long, so hopefully they shouldn't take too much of your time. But really, really great work this time, guys. Not a lot of submissions, but the improvement and the quality of the submissions have really gone really high up. So really great work to all of you guys. Hope to see you guys in the next Kuler 5 project. Again, I had a really great time. If you guys are watching this and you guys did not, submit your applications or submissions to the Kuler 5 project, feel free to throw in some comments, If you have something to say about one of these projects, leave them down below in the comments. Remember, be nice, be constructive, and, give them some feedback because, again, this is a community critique session. This is not just my critique session. So definitely, if you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to tell them, and they'll be more than happy to, read over them. So thanks a lot, guys, for all the support, and thank you guys for submitting all your applications and submissions to the Kuler 5 project. Hope to see more submissions next time, and thank you guys so much for watching.